J.D. Vance only cares about J.D. Vance, and the ambition inside him to push everyone else aside in order to reach the top is increasingly becoming his downfall. Because there's one man he would have to push aside, and that's exactly the person who most threatens any chance at 2028. A chance he'll likely never have. Donald Trump, whom Vance continues to stab in the back on issue after issue. Whether it's the Jeffrey Epstein files controversy that he doesn't want to talk about, rising gasoline prices that he accidentally mocked Donald Trump over, or a war he simply doesn't want to support and keeps leaking information about, J.D. Vance is creating problems for Donald Trump while at the same time trying to keep himself away from the dirt that he'd also like to see on Vance's hands. And that's exactly why we've seen Donald Trump erupt in a small temper tantrum, because there are fights happening inside his administration. But it all starts with how J.D. Vance responds when he's asked, does he really support this war against Iran?
Press. What did you advise the president initially as he considered his actions in Iran, and what are you urging him to do now, especially with Americans seeing higher prices at the pump and some of the fallout from that across the economy? Do you express any concerns like those you've expressed in the past on the possibility of these extended wars?
Well, Bill, I appreciate the question. I know you guys have to ask it, but imagine the situation. We're in the situation room where you can't even take your iPod in there, or your AirPods, I guess what they're called. You can't take your iPhone in there. You can't take anything in there because it is the most classified space anywhere in the world. And I sit there with Pete Hegseth and General Kane and Marco Rubio and the entire White House team, and the president and I and the entire senior team are talking about the options and about what we need to do and about how we must best protect the American people. I hate to disappoint you, but I'm not going to show up here and in front of God and everybody else tell you exactly what I said in that classified room, partially because I don't want to go to prison.
J.D. Vance can say whatever he wants, but that doesn't erase the headline from Politico today. Vance was the skeptical voice in the White House on Iran strikes. So J.D. Vance was skeptical. He wasn't sure. He didn't know. But what does that mean for us now? Does Vance think what's happening right now has gone wrong? Why would that leak come out? Because leaks like this don't happen by accident. This is a very small circle. J.D. Vance's team, which, by the way, includes the son of Tucker Carlson, the same Tucker Carlson who is broken with the administration and says the MAGA movement is drifting away from Donald Trump because of Trump's war against Iran, works in Vance's communications office. So these leaks, are reaching the major MAGA players, the big media figures. And J.D. Vance is trying to create distance for himself. Well, I wasn't really involved. I'm just the vice president. I was sort of there. Of course we support dear leader Donald Trump, but don't drag me into it. I don't want to take the blame. And speaking of blame, the reaction to this war and all the terrible consequences we've already seen, what did J.D. Vance have to say about one of the worst of them, at least when it comes to the economy?
Now, here's the interesting thing. All this conversation happens where Joe Biden left us in a terrible situation, and the reason why gas prices are where they are today is because of Donald Trump's work to get them lower, because in the Biden administration, they were crazy high. The gas prices we're seeing today are nothing like what we saw at the peak of the Biden administration because the president has set us up for energy dominance. And one of the lessons we all have to take away, frankly, every time we get involved in anything overseas, whether it's in the Middle East or anywhere else, the thing we got to take away from it is energy dominance and energy independence. Rely on our own people, rely on our own energy.
We have Donald Trump to thank for the gas prices. Are you serious? Can we get that signed? Can we get an I'm J.D. Vance and I approve this message? If Donald Trump is responsible for the gas prices, wonderful. Then you'll lose the midterms by an even bigger margin. Gas prices are so bad right now because of Trump's unnecessary and illegal war that you can practically see Republicans running away from the issue. I follow so many Republican influencers, all these people, and I watch Fox News, and I hate it just to keep up with what they're saying. And there's one thing they're all saying today. Get ready. Gas is so expensive. Wait a second. In California. California. It's just too expensive. It's not livable anymore. Did Gavin Newsom start an illegal war? Is Gavin Newsom the one responsible for rising gas prices? I don't think so. I think that's Donald Trump. But that shows you how worried they are. J.D. Vance is trying to distance himself from it. And Donald Trump, he's angry that we're even talking about it.
Voters who may be concerned about the potential for rising gas prices.
Well, I think as soon as that's over, it's going to come tumbling down along with everything else. I think it's going to be, you're going to see a very big decrease in the price of gasoline, gas, anything having to do with energy as soon as this is ended. But we had to end the nuclear threat in the Middle East and throughout the world. We will have done that.
Well, honestly, gas prices are going down, and they're going down so nicely. But when they go up, and by the way, Donald Trump literally said this on Truth Social this morning, well, when they go up, we make money, and we love money, and I love money. And yes, do you know why Donald Trump says we make money when gas prices rise? Because Donald Trump will make money. Donald Trump will profit from the market swings that he deliberately manipulates, times them, and turns into fortunes because of the extreme volatility of these spikes. They'll make money because Donald Trump promised oil executives, if you make me president, he said at Mar-a-Lago, give me $1 billion and I'll make you all richer. So when Donald Trump talks about who profits from higher oil and gas prices, he's talking about himself, about Don Jr., about Barron, who's probably trading in these markets. Hey, Barron, I think you're old enough to enlist, buddy. I know you're a little tall, but we could take a little off the top and send you out. Off to Iran. Drive an oil tanker. Donald Trump himself says it's all fine. Barron, get on the ship, man. All safe, buddy. You'll be okay. That's what Donald Trump is talking about. And he's melting down. And the collapse continues. We'll get to that. Because J.D. Vance is creating distance. J.D. is creating distance. That's very important for us to watch. Because J.D. Vance has been largely absent lately, right? We haven't heard much from J.D. Haven't seen much from J.D. Hardly any defense of Donald Trump from J.D. On the Epstein files, nothing. On the economy, Joe Biden. That's about all he wants to say. Not much from J.D. He's trying to maintain this distance because he's afraid that Trump's record in 2028 could become his own problem. And why is this not only a problem for J.D. Vance, but also for Donald Trump? Well, of course, you don't want your own vice president stabbing you in the back. But it's also because J.D. Vance already knows he's going to be up against a Thomas Massie, a Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Tucker Carlson, people who have already broken with Donald Trump. So when, after a devastating midterm result, which is coming, people start running for president, who will face this? Both Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. And that's because Donald Trump, and of course it was always this way, I think anyone with a bit of sense could have guessed, broke every single promise he made on the campaign trail. Because he is completely beholden to his donors. And because he is completely beholden to the real president of the United States, the one he was asked about here, Benjamin Netanyahu.
Speaking with Prime Minister Netanyahu, and are your objectives the same in terms of ending the war?
Well, I think they might be a little different, I guess. You know, they're a different country than we are. But he will tell you there's never been a power like the power of the United States. I built our military in my first term, continue to do so, but I built our military and rebuilt it. It was in bad shape, just like the wall, just like the border, just like everything else in our country. It was all in bad shape, but I rebuilt the military in my first term, and we're using it in this term to, really for the sake of good, for the sake of peace, and for the sake of safety and good.
The goals of Benjamin Netanyahu and this war, they really aren't different. They really aren't. Israel's objective of creating a larger apartheid state, the United States' objectives in this war, which should never have started and still serves no purpose, aren't different from the Greater Israel Project. That's what they're telling us, that we have to send them more money and more weapons and throw ourselves into ever more pointless and endless wars because Israel continues to steal the territory of sovereign nations around it, nations that we, once again, are supposedly going to war with for no reason. These goals are aligned. Wonderful. Truly wonderful. I think that's exactly what everyone who talked about no new wars wanted to hear from Donald Trump. And that's why J.D. Vance is feeding the press, and why J.D. Vance is building this distance. And you can see it, because when he was asked again whether he fully supports Trump's war plan and whether he has always supported it, just look at his face in this clip.
What we're doing.
Mr. Vice President, the president said earlier this week that you had a philosophical difference than him, that you were less enthusiastic on the onset of this war. Is that true, and what is your opinion of how it's going?
Well, I think you guys, again, I answered this question earlier. I'm sorry about that, Taylor. You asked this question earlier. When you're thinking about a major decision like this, the way the president makes these decisions is he talks to a lot of people. Obviously, we're thinking about various ins and outs, various options, what this looks like, how to accomplish our goals, what our goals should be. And I think it's important for the President of the United States to be able to have that conversation with his team without his team then running their mouth to the American media. So part of what makes our national security team so cohesive is that we all trust each other, and we all have a very free exchange of ideas. I'd like to keep that going. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Interceptors, sir, is your plan?
Okay.
J.D. Vance literally smiles at the thought that it's widely understood there's distance between him and Donald Trump. He's already thinking so far ahead to 2028. He's thinking, oh, thank God. The media are already spinning this. J.D. Vance never really wanted this war. J.D. Vance resisted it. J.D. Vance isn't a neocon. All the others are. For the same reason, we haven't heard from Tulsi Gabbard. Remember Tulsi Gabbard? The last time we saw Tulsi Gabbard was in Fulton County, Dni. The last time we saw her was breaking up ballot boxes. What about foreign conflicts? Tulsi Gabbard, when she ran as a Democrat in 2020, not really, wore a T-shirt that said, "No war with Iran." I wonder if she still sells that. Probably not. But these are, again, people who see themselves as the future of the Republican Party. Yet the future of the Republican Party is currently being shaped by people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, and Tucker Carlson. I'm not giving a recommendation for their political positions here, but they strike a different chord with the base, one that contrasts with Donald Trump, and that's what they're leveraging. Because at the core, they're media people, maybe with the exception of Massie, but Marjorie started with Facebook conspiracy theories, and that's what Tucker is all about. They're playing a media game, and Donald Trump will have to deal with it, and also with the fact that it's coming from J.D. Vance. So it's not going to be a very pleasant time for him, but we'll follow all of this here on the channel. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit the subscribe button, leave a like on the video if you stayed until the end, and drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep fighting, everyone. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, see you soon.